Welcome to Tough Shit Movie. I fucked that up, huh? Welcome to Tough Shit Movie Reviews, man. I was gonna say this is something we don't really do at Tough Shit, but I mean, come on, man. We've done like 2 fucking episodes, so we do whatever the fuck we want to do. I wanted to do this because I just saw Spider-Man Homecoming, the Spider-Man, and I just wanted to do a fucking movie review, man. Keep in mind, I have no fucking credentials as a filmmaker, no credentials as a comic book lover, though I did dabble in comic books. I fucked with the cartoons a lot. I even binge watched all the fucking Spider-Man cartoons in my early 20s during college on Netflix. So those are pretty fresh in the fucking brain, and I still watch them every once in a while because they're like, it's like watching a sitcom. Those are really good to watch. So I watched Spider-Man Homecoming, and I decided to do my own movie review because fuck it, man, I want to. Tasmanian Devil's right here by my side. He's chilling. He enjoyed the movie as well. So for sure there's gonna be spoilers in this bitch. Spoilers. So don't watch it unless you've already seen it. And most people have probably already seen it if you're thinking of seeing it. So again, man, there's gonna be spoilers in this bitch. First things first, man. I fucking love the movie, man. It was sick. You kidding me? It was dope. It was better than any other Spider-Man movie they've done so far. I think the biggest thing that everyone sees right off the back is the age of the actor. Tobey Maguire, fucking 40-year-old fuck. Andrew Garfield, old motherfucker too, trying to play a high schooler. Come on, man, get out of here with that shit. We all know Tommy Boy, good old Tommy Boy, Tom Holland, I believe his name is. I'll pull out the phone, that way I can get people's names right and shit. Tom Holland is Spider-Man, and he was awesome. Just a kick-ass in the Civil War, in Civil War. So he was badass there. So that gave me high hopes for the movie. And it didn't disappoint, man. It did not disappoint. Throughout the whole movie I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, like, I was in my head a little bit like, okay, am I enjoying this because it's good, or am I enjoying this just because I'm fanboying right now? And I think I came to the conclusion that I was enjoying it because it was good. I noticed, let's pull out the phone real quick. I noticed that Rotten Tomatoes was giving it some props. I think it's at about a 95 right now. Let's look it up real quick. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 93%. That's good. Yeah, whatever. IMDb gives it 8.2. I think it's a little higher than that, but you know, everyone has their reasonings. Overall, man, the movie was sick. I was telling a buddy of mine that the movie gives you a coming of age feel to it. You know, the Dazed and Confused, the Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You know, those type of movies that you watch and you get jealous. You wish your life was like that. So the movie gives you that feeling because it's the day in the life of a teenager, really, and his kind of like struggles with girls and trying to be cool and fit in and blah 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 blah, all that, you know, mushy gushy shit, with obviously the fucking powers of a spider, man. So that's fucking sick. So I like that it was that coming of age movies, because I'm a sucker for those movies, man. I lived vicariously through those movies throughout growing up, man. Like, I would just binge watch these movies and fucking really just really hope I was white and I can steal my dad's Camaro and go kiss Valerie and Mary Jean in the makeout spot out in Pleasantville. That was always my shit. My deep desire to always be white. So that movie had that, man. It had that like high school vibe to it, coming of age, this kind of young kid trying to figure it out, day in the life of a teenager. So that was pretty cool. And then obviously you had the Spider-Man mix into it. One thing that I kind of, I think I had to kind of let go of and accept the fact that the movie was like that, was that this was not, it was not an origin film, which is great because we already know the story of the origin. We don't need it. And two, it had all the characters and it had the formula of what Spider-Man is, but then they did their own thing with it. They kind of like they took Flash the bully and they made him a different type of bully, or kind of like this dude that's just a pain in Peter's ass, but he's not really like that physical, I'm gonna try to beat your ass bully, which is normally what it was. And then they made him some fucking heathen dude, Dabi Dubu Indian dude, which would kind of trip me out in the beginning, but I didn't really care at the time. I mean, now I don't really care, but at the time it was a little like off-putting. The whole cast like is diverse, which is it's cool, I guess. I don't really care, but it's cool. But then it's also like, you should have just kept the characters however they were. But it is what it is. It's cool. It's not anything where I was like upset about it. Let's see, what else can we cover before we get into the storyline? Visually, it was dope. Whoever directed it or did the director of photography or the cinematic stuff, and it was cool. It was dope. Again, it had that vibe, that coming of age vibe. The ending credits was cool with I think it was the hey, oh, let's go. They had that vibe in it, and they had like the characters. It's cool, almost like Superbad had that little kind of like montage thing at the end. That was kind of cool. So that was dope. So the overall feel of the movie was cool, very warm-hearted, very family-friendly, which is cool, man. It's your fucking neighborhood-friendly Spider-Man or whatever the fuck he says. So that's good. I'm not mad at that. I didn't want no dark, evil shit, right? Though, talking about dark, evil shit, the villain, the Vulture, dude, was dark and evil, but not really. Like, he was... in like the costume and that weapon, dude, that Vulture wings that they had was badass, and you can tell that it's Michael Keaton played him. You can tell that he could have gone, to the dark side with it, but he kept it at a good level because the Vulture had these internal. He was a father, and he had these internal struggles of trying to do the right thing for his family. Didn't really want to be a villain to be a villain. He was being a villain because he felt like he had no other choice. So he played that really well. But there was some gritty parts in it that was pretty dope. But he wasn't over the top evil darkness, which is cool because that's what it called for. Let's see, man. Let's get right into it. Or not right into it, but let's get into the fucking storyline. So we open up, and I'm going off the top of the head, man. I saw this shit like 2 nights ago. We start off. Actually, the beginning scene is cool, where it kind of shows you why the Vulture is getting evil and his reasoning for this shit. And it happens around the first Avengers. Part of the cleanup crew, so he's trying to he has like a business, I guess, like construction cleanup or whatever the hell it was. So he's cleaning that up, and then this random agency called and they had it in I had read about it after, because like I said, man, I like Spider-Man. It's my favorite superhero of all time. But, count me out for being that guy who read all the fucking comic books and all that shit. So, it was the Department of Damage Control or Damage Cleanup or something like that. Anyways, they come in and they straight up just take over, this guy's job. So he's all upset about that. He's going to lose some money. They give him some smart ass remark like, well, don't try so hard next time, fuckface. So he gets all upset about that shit, and that's where his motivation as a villain starts kicking in. And that's 8 years before the movie starts. So then that's the opening scene, and then you started the movie off, and they do this cute little fucking vlog style of Peter Parker kind of vlogging his experience in Civil War. That was pretty sick. It was I don't know. Part of me felt like they're really doing this just because of the whole vlogging and all that stuff. But it was kind of cool to see, and he plays really well. He's really just like a kid, like in over his head on like, I'm Spider-Man and I'm here with all the Avengers and Iron Man wants me to help out and all this thing. So that was pretty cool. That's really good, lighthearted humor during those moments between him and Happy, and then when he gets into he's in the hotel room and he has his little ghetto ass costume on, and Happy's like, man, what are you doing, man? Go put on the nice suit. And then they open up the room to the suite, and he's all in awe, and he has a dope Iron Man suit. He has the dope Spider-Man suit that Iron Man hooked him up with, the homie Tony Stark. So so that was pretty cool. And then it was cute and it was clever, and I enjoyed how they did it, where it vlogged his little journey of being in the whole Civil War thing, and then all of a sudden 2 months later he's at home, just a regular kid now, and he wants to be an Avenger. He's like blowing up Happy on a text message like, yo, let me know when the next mission is, man, I'm ready to go. And he's just an average kid, and he's kind of bored, which was dope, man. To me it was cool, because you ever play that game with your friends where you're like, if you had one superhero power, what would it be? You would probably not be doing much with that fucking superpower. You just use it every once in a while, and that's kind of how our good friend Peter Parker was like. Yeah, I'm like, he's a fucking Spider-Man, but in his day-to-day life, there's not much use for it. So you can kind of tell his frustration and his boredom of it, which then leads to driving him as a fucking character, where he's like, yo, my powers are not being used. I'm not fulfilling my destiny right now. So you can tell he gets a little bit impatient and kind of tries to break out and really, bite off a little bit more than you can chew. And that's relatable to everyone, man. At least for me, that's for sure. Where you're kind of like, you get a little impatient. You feel like people aren't taking you that serious. You feel like you can provide more than what people can take you for. But it's the same thing, man. They always tell you, yo, don't rush to get grown. And that's kind of what this was for Peter. So then he started kind of rushing to get grown. So as that starts going on, you go through a little like scenes of Peter, just kind of being like that, crime fighting Spider-Man that's just helping, grandmas with their purses and old ladies and fucking shit like that, and trying to stop bicycle thieves. And it's frustrating to him, because he's like, man, what the fuck, man? I could kick some ass, dude. I can, I went toe to toe with Captain America. Now you're making me stop this dude from stealing a fucking BMX ride? Come on now. So you can tell his frustration. So one day in patrolling the streets, he stumbles on these guys robbing a bank, dressed up as the Avengers. You've seen that in the trailer. That was kind of cool. Some little quirks or whatever. He fights them out. And that's when he discovers these weird weapons, kind of trips him out a little bit. So he blows up Happy, tries to get a hold of Iron Man, letting him know, like, yo, man, there's some weird weapons going on out here. You gotta come check this out. And obviously he's trying to be like the leading detective of this shit. And Iron Man's like, nah, man, you're too young for that. Let it be. But he found it. It's like a cop starting in on the force, man. He's got his first big case. He wants to go. So he tells Tony about that. He kind of tells him, man, chill, just leave it alone, let it be. He gets frustrated. And then there's some other cool shit that happens at this moment. A lot of like filler stuff with just like his girl, trying to kind of figure all that out. He's developing this crush with his girl, which actually, again, man, there's spoilers in this bitch. Which actually, thinking of it now, it kind of feels like it's just a little love story, but it sets up a plot twist. So you kind of like, the love story serves a purpose for this plot twist, which is dope. So he's developing this crush with Liz, who turns out she has a crush on Spider-Man. His boy Ned, fat Filipino, whatever the Samoan guy he was, he was funny and he was entertaining. Thought he was gonna be annoying, but he actually turned out to be pretty entertaining. He finds out that Peter's Spider-Man, and there's this really cool thing where he wants to be the man in the chair. He wants to be his Alfred, which is pretty dope. Which they don't mention Alfred, but they kind of allude to it. But it's funny thinking of it now because it's fucking DC, man. What the hell are you talking about? DC and Marvel, but yeah, he wants to be his Alfred. So he finds out he's Spider-Man, so now he's like trying to keep that secret. And then Liz, his Peter Parker's crush, finds out, she likes Spider-Man. So they end up at a party, and they're gonna do a party trick where Peter's gonna come in as Spider-Man and kind of try to impress everyone. So he's kind of tripping. He was all in his head about how dumb this shit is, which was super relatable, man. I talked to myself in the mirror so many fucking times, especially when I was like a teen, of just like embarrassing yourself and having that crush and trying to talk yourself up. So that shit hit close to home. So he's up in the roof. He's getting ready to swing down and, impress everyone and be like, yo, I'm Spidey. Yo, where's my boy Peter at? And he's doing these little impressions like, hey, what's up, Peter? What up? This is fucking silly shit. He's getting ready to swing down when he sees an explosion out in the distance, right? So he's got to go, man. It's Spider-Man. It's the Call of Duty. So he takes off, and it turns out it's these dudes dealing weapons, and they're testing them out in the fucking public. Dumb fucks. So Spider-Man goes out there, sees this shit. He's like, oh, man, these are the weapons from earlier. There's a cool fighting scene at that point where he's kind of chasing them down, trying to get the weapons, whatever. He leaves his boy Ned stranded, takes off, and then again, man, thinking about it now, this is another little crucial part in the writing where he takes off from the party which Liz was hosting, right? So the reason, stay tuned. When I mention the plot twist, you'll know why. But he leaves the party and she notices, and Ned obviously notices. So he leaves the party. Tries to hunt down these guys with the weapons, and then he ends up finding a little gem thing. It's like some alien power source, right? So he has that. Now it becomes a thing of like, okay, I need to figure out what this is all about. So then he takes it back to school. Ned obviously now knowing that his boy is Spider-Man, he's helping him out. These dudes are like whiz kids, they're too smart science kids, so they're out there kind of like in school and in the wood shop class or in whatever the fuck it was, like trying to break open the little plasma thing, trying to figure out what it is, etc. Cool little whatever scenes of that. Then the villains are like, yo, we need to get all these weapons back, we need to track everything, blah blah. So they start tracking back that weapon. They end up at the high school, and Peter manages to kind of stalk them down using his Spidey powers. He doesn't get caught, and he ends up putting a tracker on one of the guys. So now he's tracking the bad guys. He needs to know where is their secret lair. It turns out the secret lair is in like Maryland or Maine or something like that. I forgot what it was. Just so happens that, so he's in like a academic decathlon thing, and they're about to have a academic decathlon trip to Washington, D.C., so that's a perfect excuse for him to go when he was originally not going to go. It's a perfect excuse for him to go so he could sneak out and then go to the bad guys' lairs. So that's exactly what happens. Peter, Ned, and the rest of the gang take off to DC to do this decathlon. Peter sneaks out, kind of has a little moment where he bumps into his crush at night. Kind of has a little more heartfelt, eye-opening things about her. And then he takes off to the bad guy's lair. I'm kind of like glossing over some shit right now. So anyways, goes out there in the middle of him trying to track down this is the dope part. In the middle, while he's trying to track these guys down, he hacks into his suit because he finds out that Tony Stark has a GPS tracker on his suit. So he hacks into his suit. He takes out that GPS tracker. While hacking into the suit, there was some nice little comedy there about the training wheels protocol and shit. He also sees that there is the training wheels protocol is preventing him from using his suit to the ultimate capacity. Oh, that shit was badass. So once he convinces Ned, his his Alfred, once he convinces him to remove the training wheels protocol, which Ned was not for. He's like, man, you're just a kid, man. You can't handle this yet. He convinces him to do it. Then he has a full reign on his like suit, bro. Like his suit is fire at this point. So Spider-Man's going all out now, man. He has like assassin mode. He has 500 type of web shooters he can do, and he has Karen, which is his Jarvis. And a fun fact, I think it's like Jennifer Connelly plays the voice of Karen, who is the wife of the dude that played Jarvis' voice, who's now Vision. So that was kind of a cool little like Easter egg that I found out later on. Anyways, Spider-Man is going to the villains. He has a super hardcore suit now. Karen is like his conscience now. She's like dealing with him, talking to him, doing all this thing. He has like assassin kill mode that he's like keeps triggering on accidentally. Like shit's dope. He meets up these guys. The Vulture is gonna try to steal these weapons from like the damage control company. They're in their truckloads. So Peter's there. Ends up another big fight. That was cool. Peter ends up it's stuck in the truck, and then he ends up getting stuck in like the Department of Damage Control like warehouse. So there's like a cool little scene right there where he's kind of trying to like, it's cool. He's trying to figure out what are the exact capabilities of the suit that he just found out he has like ultimate powers to. So he's like doing all that. At this point he has to get back to the decathlon because he finds out that little reactor thing is actually a bomb and it's gonna go off. So he has to go back to Ned and tell him not to use it. Ned fucking has the thing with him, and they're at the Washington Monument, which is a part of the trailer where you see Spidey in the Washington Monument. And the shit's about to blow up. Everyone's in trouble. It's crazy. So Spidey's got to go and get the job done. That was a cool little hero thing for Spidey to do. And then obviously, what's his name? Tony Stark kind of wants to give him props for that. There's a cool little moment there where he saves Liz with the web, which was a nice little nod to like the Gwen Stacy death. That was kind of cool. And then so he saves them. Spider-Man's a hero. Everyone in high school loves him. He comes back. Tony's like, yo, that was cool. Awesome. Great job. He's kind of, feeling like Mr. Cocky now. He's feeling good. And then he's trying to do some recon work. He ends up stumbling on Donald Glover's character, Aaron Davis, which is Miles Morales, I believe his name is. His uncle, who is a black Spider-Man in one of the cartoons, blah, 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 blah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty dope, too. A lot of cool little Easter eggs. I ended up fucking reading an article on all of them because I was like, I gotta know what these are, and I'm not proficient enough in the comics to fucking know this shit. So he finds out there's a deal going on at the ferry, so he's got to get into that. He goes, and that shit goes fucking haywire. He fucks all that up. The FBI is there. He ends up fucking things up. He almost kills people on the ferry. Just a whole fucking hodgepodge. So then Tony Stark shows up, man. Kind of tells him, like, he saves the day, helps him out. It's like, yo, give me the suit back, kid. You're overstepping your bounds. You're biting off way too much than you can chew. That moment. Very parental stuff going on with Tony Stark and Peter Parker, which was really cool. I wasn't mad at that one bit. Boom, 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 boom. He takes away his suit. He's like, man, if you take my suit, I'm nothing without this suit. And if you're nothing without this suit, Peter, then you don't deserve this suit. That cliche line. So takes the suit away from him. Then Peter's kind of doing his thing now. He feels all sad. He's bummed out that, he can't be with Tony no more and try to do that. But, he still feels like he has to do the right thing and stop this Vulture guy. He finds out that the Vulture is trying to hijack Tony Stark's his like private jet that's gonna carry a bunch of stuff over from the new facility, from the old Avengers facility to the new facility. So he's got to get into that. But before that happens, this is where the plot twist happens. Again, spoilers, guys. This is where the plot twist happens. So now Peter is going on to homecoming with Liz, his crush, right? He's nervous as hell, typical teenager. Got a beautiful prom date. He's got to go pick her up. He knocks on the door, and guess who opens the door? Michael fucking Keaton, the Vulture, is Liz's dad. What? Mindfuck. So that was cool. Did not expect that at all. Didn't see that one coming. So that was cool. Throughout the whole movie, I'm like, I'm enjoying this. I like this. And then they got me with that shit. And I'm like, I like this even more now. So turns out that the villain is his crush's dad, which is kind of cool. which kind of plays a little bit to the Garfield movie where Gwen Stacy's dad, he wasn't necessarily the villain, but he was kind of like against Spider-Man, and that became obviously the dad of Gwen Stacy. So that leads to a fucking awesome scene where Keaton is just fucking pulls the gun out and just like, I'll kill you and all your family. And he stole that scene. So that was beast. He's talking to Parker about that. This was cool right here. So Keaton tells him, the Vulture tells him, yo, you take care of my daughter and we'll let bygones be bygones, man. Just take care of my daughter. Don't get into my business. We're good. Peter goes into the homecoming dance, tells Liz, this ain't right. I can't be doing this. Justice over pussy. And he takes on off, man, and he leaves because he's got to stop the Vulture. He let go of his crush for the right of justice. So he takes off, ends up getting in a fight with the Shocker. Oh man, I didn't even mention the Shocker. There was a change of Shockers. I'll leave that one for you guys to watch in the movie. That was cool though. But anyways, he gets in a fight with the Shocker. There's a bunch of villains in this movie. There's the Shocker, there's the Tinker, and they actually allude to Scorpion, maybe to the Sinister Six. But fuck it, man. Like I said, I don't do this for a living, motherfuckers. You guys watch it yourself. I'm just going over whatever's coming to my head. So he's got to go fight the Vulture. This is the final fight scene where Peter doesn't have his Tony Stark suit no more. He's just rocking his regular PJs. So, it's a tough fight for him. He's pretty much just fighting on bare bones. Spoilers. He fucking does work. He beats him. He has to overcome. He kind of has that dope moment where he's looking at the water and it's the half Spidey mask, half Peter Parker, iconic image. That was cool. And then, he kind of has to like overcome, and he whoops that ass. Does it the right way. Doesn't kill him. Doesn't do anything like that. Saves him. Packs everything up, leaves them nice and tidy, leaves Tony and Happy a note like, yo, don't worry about it, I got you, sorry for the mess. Dude, real cool, real clever. It was something similar to that happened before in the movie, like where he leaves a little note after fighting a crime. So that's a little nod to that. And then Tony and Happy, man, are just like super proud of the kid. And it's a dope scene where, they're telling him, man, you earned it. You earned your stripes. Here's the suit back. Takes him to the Avengers Towers. He wants to introduce him as an Avenger. That was dope. And then, Peter was like, you know what? It's cool, man. I got some things to learn still. I gotta walk before I fucking run. So he kind of learned his lesson. And then, Tony was telling him, yo, come put the suit on. There's like a bunch of journalists out there. Let's go do press. He turns it down, and then you kind of don't believe him, but turns out there was a shit ton of press there, and Tony was ready to tell the world that they had Spider-Man in the Avengers. But he turned it down because he's a good kid. And then Gwyneth Paltrow comes out. Pepper Potts comes out looking gorgeous, and which was cool because she kind of had disappeared. So she's back, which was kind of cool. Tony got his love interest back. Man, I probably missed some dope shit that like real comic book people would have been like, why didn't you talk about this? Or fuck, man, that shit was dope, or blah, blah, blah. But I don't care. I'm going into like half an hour now, so I'm probably going to wrap it up. That shit was dope. It was fun. It's super enjoyable. I liked it much better than the previous ones. Like I said, they take the characters and they kind of do different things with it. It's not your typical origin story or anything like that. But it was cool, man. I enjoyed it. Boom. Yeah, man. This is the first tough shit movie review. Fuck you, like, because it probably sucked. But whatever. So whatever you thought of the movie, man, comment below. Keep watching some tough shit. This is probably, I don't know if I'll do this again. Probably will, because I don't care. It was fun. I'm trying to think, man. All right, well, this thing stopped recording on me. It took a dud, so thanks for watching, guys.
Can't have